Hi guys and welcome. Today we're going to make some little sidekick journals, art journals, junk journals, however you want to make them up. The principle of it is all the same. So I've got some really thick grey cardstock here that I've glued together. So all I've done is I've scored in one place, folded it over, done the same. So you've actually got a double thickness binder there, and I've had these done up for a while. I've got a few in a container, so same principle, whichever size you want to have it. So the idea of what's called a sidekick journal is you put a heap of papers in there, same as you would a journal, but it's for any leftover projects. So for example, you know, if you've got some leftover ephemera, you can go through and just add it to it. You can use it as a roll-off if you're doing gel printing, although I use a pad for that. I'm going to be using some of the papers from that today. Basically, anything you want to use your leftovers in to create a nice little journal or a space for yourself to be creative. It can be just a little play journal as well. So whatever you want to use it for, you can call it your little sidekick. I always have it on the desk off to the side, so you can pull it over and use up any leftover ephemera that you've got laying on your desk. So I've had these done up for quite a while, so I don't know how strong they're going to be going forward because I want to be able to use it a lot. So I'm going to actually reinforce the ends of that. You can do that with material, you can do it with masking tape. I'm actually going to use this strong packaging tape. So I just want to spray the roller, get it nice and wet, or I could spray my tape. Just work it out to roughly, I haven't got it in the roller, I've been using it for something else, so I just want to be able to cut that or tear it. I'm fine, my scissors. So I just want to wet the sticky side or the gum side of the tape, and I'm going to use it on this one just to give it a little bit of strength. Because I'm not going to be covering this one in material, I'm just going to cover it in other papers. We might take that one over as well. And this is super strong. It's actually got some like cotton or thread built into it. But you could use simple masking tape, whatever you've got, electrical tape, material, just to reinforce that fold in the journal. And I'll do this one as well. This one's a bit thicker, so I might actually do two pieces. I'll cut it. And I'll do two the same size. I find it really handy having these made up, ready to go. It just, when you want to get creative, you don't want to spend a lot of time, excuse me, doing the basics. And it also works out a lot more time effective or quicker doing things in a bit of a production line or mass production. Doesn't have to be too neat because we're going to collage over the top of it. Okay, not overly straight, but like I said, we're going to collage over the top. So that's just going to reinforce it and give it a nice strong application. We could have put our signatures in and then taped over it. I actually want the signature stitching to show, so that's why I've left it like that. And then we're going to collage over the front as well. But let's get on to our signatures. So I'm just going to pop that off to the side for the time being. So signatures, very much the same as you were doing any of your journals. What I've got here, I've got these beautiful gel prints that I've recently done. So I'm going to be using some of these. Now, a good percentage of these ones, so the ones without using, so not this one because I've used a Delusion stencil in that one, but the ones that I haven't, like these nice textury ones, I've actually got in my Etsy shop. So I will put a link below if you wanted to download, print and use these ones yourself. So they're absolutely beautiful. I don't know whether the camera picks up the true colors of them, but look at that. Gorgeous. So I had a real day with some girlfriends creating these, and there's just something really relaxing about playing with inks and paints and just, you know, letting your creativity go. So I won't go through all of those, but we're going to be using some of these in our Sidekick journal. Then I've pulled together a heap of papers like you would, the same with your journals, your junk journals, your art journals. I'm going to be putting a combination of those in there. This one's coffee dyed cardstock. I've got some baking paper there. This is some printed and coffee dyed papers. Got some craft cardstock there, just some coffee dyed paper. Got some scrapbook paper. So basically anything you have on hand. These ones here, I love these. So when I'm gel printing, I've got this roll-off book beside me. So it's just a book that I've bought from a $2 shop. And this one's a nice big A3 size one. So I can just roll and clean my brayers off on it, and also my stencils. So I can just put my stencil down, roll my brayer over the top, or get the excess acrylic paint off them. And it creates some really beautiful, that one got crinkled a bit, but that one's in a metallic, beautiful patterns just by cleaning off your brushes. So don't ever discount, and then I've got some plain ones that I want to put in there. So don't ever discount using your scraps or keeping your scraps or rolling your brayers off, your paint brushes off, anything like that. Now I want to put some signatures together. So I'm going to work on, I think I'll do the small one first. So I'm going to throw some papers together. I might get some cardstock in there. So I want a bit of strength through some of the pages because I'm going to be using it for a lot of different applications. I want to have some strength in there as well. Get some of these beautiful prints in there. And these are only one-sided, so, you know, I could have another gel printing day and do the other side, or I could have done it on the day, but I just chose to have the single-sided. If you wanted double-sided in your journal, you could glue them together and go like that. I like a bit of negative space in my journals because, like I said, you might want to have a bit of a play around with some inks, paints, etc. So you want to have a bit of versatility in there. I'm going to have this one as well and some plain. Now I'm just going to arrange it so there's a mixture through. So no real formula for this. Just going to sort of randomly throw some blanks, some patterns. And you can see that they're all different sizes. So we're going to now have to cut them down, but I'm just actually going to tear them down. I'm just going to get my tear ruler. So if we looked at an A4 page, for example, it's basically the width that we want. So it's only about trimming off the top up the top there. So if we just have and we're going to eyeball it. I just want it in a little bit from the cover. And just down a bit. So we're just going to eyeball it like that. So it's in from the cover a little bit. Don't want too much poking out in the scheme of things. This one here the same. And keep these are going to be perfect to make some ephemera out of. And if you want to colour coordinate it in your journal, then you certainly can. This one I'm going to take the excess white edge off. And then I'm just going to basically marry it up like that. Might do a couple together. So it's good working with the A4. We don't have to worry too much about that side, just this side. And look, you might want to have all different sizes, heights in your journal as well. You can just have some strips in there, totally up to you. Do a bit of music paper. Now we might have that going that way actually. So yes, it'll be shorter, but there's nothing wrong with that. We just want the height. Get a little bit of scrapbook. And with this you can choose sort of which section. I actually like the lighter section up the top, so we might go with that. Now we're going to work on this A3 one, and I really like that, so I want that. So see how you now got to roll it over because it's not an A4 size. So roughly about there. You can measure these too. I'm eyeballing it. I actually like, with art things or junk journaling, I actually like the rustic aspect of things. Many years ago I learnt to let go of my perfection demons. So, you know, I wanted everything to coordinate, align, and you will still see some of that in my art and my crafts. I'll do another one while we're here. And see, you've still got some beautiful print there and just a pale one there. You can turn that into a tag. You can put it on the back of some cardstock and it'll coordinate through your journal because you're using similar colours throughout. I'll pop them off. I may not use all of them. Same with this beautiful one. I'm going to take the white edge off, but I'm going to go in a bit. I might go in as far as, excuse me, I've got a bit of a phlegm in my throat today. So I'm going to take it a fair way in because to me that is beautiful. So I'll be definitely using that on a tuck, cards, journaling spot. This one here, it's quite thick because the acrylic paint I used there was like a metallic. And I don't know whether there's anything on the back of this strip, but we will have a look. Yeah, there's a little bit there, but I actually like this here too because that can be tucked up under a, you know, in a cluster or something like that, so don't throw that away either. I'm going to go from the top on this one because I want to maximize the painted section, and I'm going to try and get as much as I can out of this piece because I love it. Still can do a tag, or you can do a belly band, or a side tuck, a pocket. You know, scraps are a wonderful thing. I just love working with scraps. Now I want to do some plain, so it doesn't really matter how we fold this one. Still stick to the same principles to get the size. So that's a good way to use. I mean, you could use a 6x6 papers if you didn't have any gel prints or any roll-off art. You know, there's no rhyme or reason. You could do it all with plain paper and then roll or swish your paintbrush off to clean it up. Lots of different ways you can start this Sidekick journal. But the beauty of it is when you open it up, so you've got it on your desk, when you open it up, it'll have background pages already done like this. So you can just have a play. You can put some words on there, lettering, flowers, just any ephemera that, you know, the Tim Holtz characters, pictures, anything like that. Your labels, your tags, all of that sort of stuff. Having a look to see if there's anything more. Do we want to put I'm thinking, even though it's still joined, the seam is quite weak there, so I think we'll go this way. And it will be slightly shorter, but that's okay as well. And actually, let's just go, so we're not wasting it. They're beautiful pages, these. Completely in half, and then we've sort of got 2 pages there. Let's get some coffee dyed paper. Here's some card stock that we said we're going to use. And if there's no, you know how most of these, there's a straight edge and then there's a torn edge, then don't get too caught up about having the straight edge all down the bottom. Because there's no pattern on these, I'm going to turn them upside down. Same with these ones, upside down and round the wrong way. Just to get that rustic right throughout, or I could, you know, tear both sides, but to save time I'm just doing the one. See, that one's got writing on it, so I will keep it that way, but it's got beautiful blank coffee dyed in the middle there. We'll do 1, 2, 3. These are paper, so they should hopefully still tear. I'll do one more and then we might see what we've got. Actually, I do want another blank. Let me do another blank and another. I'm going to throw that one in too. It's a bit smaller, but I'm okay with that. Let me grab another couple here. And then we should have plenty to do this one and some leftovers. But I always do more than I think I'm going to need. That way you can proceed with each step as you want it. So we've got a nice mixture here, as you can see. And I want to, for this width, I think I'll create 2 signatures. So I'm going to, oh, that's a single one. I'm going to have 2 piles. And I'll definitely want this nice blank space throughout it. And I'm trying to get some thick, some thin in each one. Definitely need some more cardstock, or a cardstock one. I've got one in one of them. I would like some body of that in the other. And I did have some craft stock here. Craft cardstock. Just trying to find it. Messy desk. Anyway, let's just go with that. So putting that together and putting this one together, it might be too thick, because remember we're adding to it. So I think we'll take a little bit out and we might have to trim off some ends there. But let's first of all go put some inside the other. So how many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's go 9 with this other one. Let's start with I'm starting with the cardstock on the outside. So it will define that's 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's see how that fits inside. Yep, and it will get quite full. Just deciding whether to go 5 in each. Might do that. And pop them ones off to the side. So 5 in each signature, and I'm going to press them in as far as I can. I'm going to try and flatten them down with a bone scorer. You can use scissors for this. You can use a butter knife just to add a little bit of pressure to get the crease there. You can go through and tear a few of these off. I'm just going to check that top colour. It seems fine. The others have got to come back a bit, so I'm going to tear them. You might have to do one at a time. You can cut these too, but like I said, I actually like that rough edge because if we ink it, it'll pick up the ink, even if we're using it to spray paints in. And you can use your fingernail if you want to. And that one's the back cover of it. So, and let's have a look. May need that one a little bit. Lovely. So you can have a little bit sticking out there. That's no problem, but I just didn't want them hanging out there. But then, of course, some people love that look as well. So you do what you like because it's your journal and it's however your creative mind works as to what you should roll with. So this one's not too bad, but I'm going to tidy it up a bit. And this also, you know, don't discount this. To me, this is also part of the creative process of this journal, putting it together. Because you're choosing your papers, you're choosing what order they go in, you're choosing the side. Do you want it hanging out? Do you want a straight edge? Do you want a torn edge? Like whatever starts your process going is what you should roll with. some people don't sew their signatures into the journal. They play in it and then they stitch them in right at the end. So that's another process that you can do. I always stitch. It's just something I've always done. I actually come over to the studio today to tidy up and start culling some of my excess, but you know, you always get sidetracked and you've just got to have a play first. So hence what I'm doing today. All right, beautiful. So I've got that. I'm just going to take this excess. You can keep these trims to go in clusters and things like that. I have such an abundance of them and they're very relatively small ones, so I'm happy to part with those. Now we're going to sew them in. So I'm hoping that my awl is here. I've got a feeling I might have taken it over inside, but anyway, we'll have a look, see how we go. Got my needle. Now, I do have a pokey tool, so we'll just have to roll with that one. Now I'm going to do a 3 pamphlet stitch on these. So the best way I feel is to do the signature first before we go and try and line it up here, because I then want to be able to get it the same distance top and bottom. So I'm going to go basically in the middle. And this is not the sharpest of pokey tools that I own, but we should still be able to get the job done. It's going to be a slow process. I apologise for that. And then I'm just going to get one of the pages here to line it up. So if we go the middle of this one, because I was forgetting we're going to have 2, so we need to do it at the 6. Let me grab a plain. Grab a plain skewer so you can see. This is actually like a food skewer, so you can see it's not that sharp, but it will do. And then because we know it's 6, so we'll go at 3. So if it's even numbers like that, you can mark it out. And you'll be able to then get it on the same here. Which will be 3 and 3. So I'm just going to line up a couple of these. Once again, line line up a couple. And you just keep working through your pages. If I had my sharp awl, I'd be able to go through the whole lot, but that's not the case here today. Especially the thicker papers. A bit of a twist in action. Just going back to my center to make sure it's lined up. There we go. So that's one signature done. Second one, same thing, line it up in the middle. And then 3 off to the side because this one's 6 centimeters wide. This one's actually not quite, but we've got to go 3 from the middle because that's what we've made our holes in our cover. And we've got to go 3 from the middle. That way your stitching is going to line up when it comes to the cover, regardless of whether this signature is a little bit smaller than the other one. Line it up in the middle again to make sure these holes are going to line up now. Oh, that was easy. All right, so I've got a bookbinder needle here. I think I've got these on Temu. It was either Amazon or Temu, and they come in a little set like that, which is good because it keeps your needle in a container so you don't lose it as often. And this is just a waxed cotton. Now measurement, I think it was 1, 2, 3, I'll go 4. It's probably more than I need, but so this is what's called a 3 pamphlet stitch. So pick which order you want them. This one's going to go, I think I'll put this one at the back because the slightly bigger one's at the front. Otherwise, I suppose it doesn't. Actually, I'll go the smaller one at the front. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through the center. So through the center. Actually, I didn't finish those holes off. Now this one's thicker, so just make sure your fingers aren't in the road out the other side. So just a twisting action. If your awl or your pokey tool's a little bit on the blunt side like mine, mine's actually a food skewer. Lovely. So we've gone through the center. We're going to go through the center here. We're going to then come through the top one. and through the top one in your signature. And you may have to line the holes up. We'll pull that through. Just pull it through so you've got a little bit of a tail there. Now we're going to go back through the center. And then we're going to come through the bottom. I like the waxed cotton because it's extremely strong. And then we just want to pull that one that way, that one that way, and it will tighten up. We also want to check on the back that it's tight. And then we're going to tie it in a knot. Now if you wanted the knot on the outside, so you could dangle things, you know, put some beads on and dangle it and that, you just do the reverse. So we went from the inside out, you could go from the outside in, and you could start up where you wanted to hang the beads from. So we went 4 lengths before on that, and we've got 2 left over. So I would then just go 2.5. So I'm going to continue to use this last piece, and it's going to now go to the back. And because remembering we found our center on our page, on our signature, we put a center in here, and then we went the same measurements regardless of the size of these, because one signature is slightly smaller than the other. We went 3 centimeters out because it was 12 centimeters long, so 6 centimeters was the middle, and then 3 out from each, and we know that all our holes are going to line up. So center again through this center. And if you're doing more signatures, you would just do more rows of holes. You'd have a wider spine. Then up through the top. No right or wrong. You could go the bottom if you wanted to. You're still going to be tying it off in the middle. And then through the middle. Hope you can see that okay. And then we're going to go in through the bottom. Even though I've done other videos on this, you know, because it's a project I'm doing in this video, like the Sidekick Journals, that's why I'm going from start to finish for you. But sometimes we just need a refresh as well. Now this has come out of my needle. I'm just going to... The beauty of the waxed cotton is it's quite stiff, so it's relatively easy to thread, and these needles have a beautiful big eye. Now I'm notorious for losing my needles, so I'm going to pop it back in here while it's in my hand, because we know how messy our desks get, and it can roll off and go under a cupboard. And you know, if I probably moved all the furniture in my study, I would find lots of things that I've lost over a period of time. So once again, I'll put my finger on that. We'll just check that it's tight. I'll do a double knot, up to you. Sometimes I leave, I'll leave a longer one and I'll put a bead on it and have dangles out the bottom. I'm not going to do that with this one. If I choose to have dangles, I will fix them in some other way. Beautiful. Now this is, so you can have it, at this stage you can have it anyway. Up that way, up that way. In my hand, I actually feel like it's this way. So you can see all those beautiful pages that we've got now to decorate. But what I want to do is I want to cover this. So I want to pick I'm thinking this roll-off piece. So I want to, and it's good at this size. Alternatively, you could go, because I do want to leave this open, so I only want to have sort of these patches and over here a little bit, because I like that look. You could effectively cover the whole lot, but I'm actually going to just cover the front. Now I like this whole side, so I'm just going to cut. I'm going to leave a bit out that way, and I'm just going to cut up here. So you can cut or tear, up to you. I'm just sort of getting some size a little bit under there because we're going to be folding under. You could effectively fold it in half. You can see my cutting skills are not that great. So when we're videoing, so we can't get over our projects so much, so we're sort of doing a lot of things in a reached position. So you'll find that, sometimes our things don't line up, but that's okay, because any mistake can be covered up. And it's not going to be quite half and half, although if I go that way it may be. That's okay. I'm going to, oh yes it will, because I'm in half. So to get a straight line, I might use that side, because that side's going to fold over. And I'm going to bring it down a bit because there's a lot of white space here. So I might cut that. And the old book covering process of notching out your corners. Now I'm going to glue that down. See if my glue will play nice for me today. This is, actually I won't use that one, I'll use this one. That one, the lid cracked, so it possibly could be dried up. And I am using art glitter glue. And look, it has been roughly some time since I've crafted. Like, it's been a month or so, and I've been desperately trying to get back in the studio. And get back into things. So it's not flowing as evenly as it could. Give it another. And I can feel, in that metal tip, some crusty bits, which might be stopping it flow. Here we go. So I want to sort of get to the edge. all over the front, sort of down here too, because we're going out there a little bit, just so we don't have a join there. And I might get rid of that stark, just half of it. Now with the art glitter glue, get it down and adjust what you need to adjust straight away, because there is not a lot of give in it. So I like this pattern because to me it blends in here. And you know, we can do some stenciling, we can add some ephemera. So over here we want to put it on those wings. I know that's hard to see the white on the white, but you'll get it when I fold it over. And all of this is part of your creative process as well. So it's decorating your cover, and you can just do the basics like we're doing here, and then add to it as you go along, as it evolves. So that's that one, and I might put some decorative something down there. Let's do the back one. See how much is hanging over there. So that edge is not straight. Just going to straighten that up a little bit. And you can of course cut these after you've stuck it on. You might want to tear pieces up and collage on here too. There's just so much you can do. You can put material straight down on it. And then the same again, glue the wings down. So I'll do some follow-up videos on this, you know, working in it, how I work in it, what I do with it. But like I said, it's basically the same principle, whether you're doing an art journal, a junk journal, a journal, 3 pamphlet stitch. You can do 5 pamphlet stitch, but that's that one. I'm really, really happy with that. We might even, I might even cover the inside covers while we're going, just to finish that one off, so it's sort of ready to go. And we can I can show you roughly if I've got some ready-made stuff to put in there, some blank pages there we can paint on, stencil on. I can, you know, if I decide I want to just glue something in there, make a pocket, that type of thing. let's get some. I want to keep that fairly neutral. Let's have a look through these smaller ones that I've got. I don't mind that one. Don't mind that one. And, you know, thinking of we may be covering it with a pocket or something, so I don't want to use the really pretty ones, but I want it to flow from the outside cover as well. Which is probably more that and that, or that. Actually, I like those two, so I'm going to go with those two. Don't spend too much time procrastinating on anything. These journals are designed to be fun. They're small, so when you work on a page, it's, you know, small and you can effectively do it straight away. The closure on it, I'm still thinking about what I want to do, but I have some beautiful, there's still some on my desk, some beautiful decorative buttons, like that, got an antique one there, those ones, oh, that one. So I'm thinking about doing a closure with some sari silk just to sort of wrap around a button in a sense. So I do really like that. That one. Or that one. Isn't it funny? So when I put the bag down, I went, oh my God, I love that. I love that one, which, yes, I do, but I really like that one. So I think I'm going to go with that one. Definitely. How I want my sari silk, I think I'll just have it coming from a back tab, maybe, and around. Let's put the covers in first, and then let's have a play, because I obviously have to stitch that somehow. So I'm going to have to get through there twice. So it's going to have to be, say, roughly out a bit. So there, and just that twisty motion, because it's very thick to go through. I'm going to sew that before I cover the back, so that way we can actually cover. I need to flatten that down. So I'm going to drag out my So my plan today wasn't to do the closure and continue on and do the inside and all that, but I thought while we're going, if you guys are still happy to stay and watch, it's like any project. It always evolves as you go along. So I'm going to go in from the inside, and it's just straight through the button, straight through. And I'm going to, even though this is strong thread, I'm going to go in again, and in again, Actually, I didn't go through the button. You guys are probably sitting there screaming at me, you didn't go through the button. So through the button again. And then through the hole. So that just gives us double strength. And because it's got quite a prominent, see if we pull that right to the thing, it's got enough to wind some sari silk around because it's got that part at the back. It's not a flat button like we'd stitch straight on. And now I'm going to tie this tightly. And then I'll just do it like a finishing knot around twice. We're going to glue over the top of it anyway, but there's no fear. Wax cotton, it doesn't work its way out like normal cotton out of a knot. So there's another good part about using that as well. So this one, I like this pattern. And I do relatively want to go right to there. It is not square. So without trying to be perfect, I'm going to get rid of the white edge of it. And then we know we've got to trim it down a little bit more. Look, I could be measuring here, but I'm not. I'm happy just to eyeball it because we've got that excess folded over, but I do want to go relatively. So I'm just running a bit of a score line with my nail there. And then I'm going to glue that down. Extra glue around the button. And I'll show you how I'm going to attach the sari silk at the back. It may be a similar process. So I'm going to go right in here because I wanted it in as close as possible, knowing that it comes out to nearly the edge. There. And then I'm just going to put a bit of pressure on round just to make sure that it's all adhered down. Oh, look at that. I love it. The back now, same process in measuring. I'm going to cut the white off. That's not real straight. That noise you can hear is the mower has started up. So hopefully that won't be too loud. It's down the paddock a bit, so it's not too bad. So right to the edge, so we want roughly. And we want a little bit of that off there. So we can take a bit more off now. Just a fraction, I'll take it off the blank. It doesn't have a lot of pattern on it. And then if we take that right to the edge, that needs straightening up because my eyeballing is not that fantastic. Or can we get away with it over here? No, it still needs to be tidied up. Just took a smidge off without getting it perfectly straight because I am mindful that we don't want to take too much off the length of it. Right, so we know that's all cut out ready to go now. I'm going to put that off to the side. Now we're going to think about our sari silk. So we will basically need to put it through here, and I'm thinking, do we have a knot in it, or do we tape it down? How are we going to stop it pulling out? I don't want too much bulk there, so let's grab a bit of sari silk, and I've got this beautiful cream and green. I'll cut off here. And then I'll take it back to that join, so we don't have a join. So actually it may not be too bad. So I'm going to put, okay, so we could do an eyelet there, and then we'll be able to so I'm just going to use my crocodile, try and sort of get the center, put a hole in there. Now let's get what I'll do, I'm going to shut that door and I'm going to put the aircon on. My studio is in a shed, so it can get quite warm. We're in Australia and we are in summer, so it is relatively still early in the morning here, but things are starting to warm up. So it's always good to get the air on, because I do plan on spending a bit of time in the studio today. So we'll get it cooled down and keep the lawn, hopefully the lawnmower noise out. I'm sorry if the aircon's a little bit louder than you would like. Right, so let's put an eyelet in here. Actually, I won't worry about putting the other plate on because we're going to glue over it. And then we'll get our sari silk. I want most of the green out. So we probably don't need that longer one. Keep that off cut for a tag. We want a bit of length because, you know, I've got a feeling there's going to be a little bit of width on this one. So my way of thinking was to then tape it down with, let me just use a piece of what we were using before, the binder tape. I'll just wet it because it's pretty strong adhesive. And then I might glue something over that as well. Bit of cardstock. I was looking for a bit of craft cardstock there at one stage. Gee, this scrapbook paper is probably, I'm going to, as you know, put page over it, but I'm just, and it might be a bit of overkill, but just wanna, so it doesn't pull through. Even though that, you know, that tape's not going to move, but peace of mind. I'll keep the glue out, and then we're going to glue should be probably doing the back of it. So by doing this, it'll just give you a little bit of an insight into different types of closures as well. I love sari silk closures. It gives you so much flexibility on the width. I've used chain methods before with some jewelry elements. Haven't done a lot with elastic. And then you sort of, I'll work out, you know, that's it fully with no ephemera in it. But imagine when it gets thick like this, you're going to, you know, it's going to be quite bulky. So you sort of want to work out, have a fair bit of play with your ribbon. Some people will go around it twice and then put it down, around and then twirl. I don't think you need to do that. I like just keep it simple, because I want to put, eventually want to put something on there. So having that there is like that. It's beautiful. Then you can start basically doing whatever you want to. We might put a little bit of strip in there actually. Just because that's me, so it's the right height. We might just cut that out, straighten it up. Might be too thick. It is. So, and you don't have to do this. It's just, to me, it's just a visual thing. You could put washi tape in there. We could have put paper down before we did the signatures. But a little strip in there will just take that grey look away. You could glue some sari silk in there. Perfect. So just see how it just sort of finishes it off. I don't know why that's. I'm just using my nail to tuck it under the signature there. Let's have a look at the back one. Beautiful. So that is your little Sidekick journal, junk journal, however, whatever you call it. To me, they're all very similar. And look, I know there's some very passionate junk journalers out there that would argue it's an art journal. Some will say, oh no, it's a junk journal. But to me, it's what you want it to be. So I could say, well, this is going to be an art journal, but then I turn it into a journal or a junk journal where I have lots of journaling spaces in there. This one, I think, though, will be more around the art side of things. So when I get some things I just want to create in there, I want to put some leftovers in there, I want to create a tag. For example, if I went like this, and this is just, like I said, just plain, but I might want to shorten that up a bit. Actually, I want more of the green, so I'm gonna, let me go again. And this is just using scraps. Put it in there. I might want a little band across there or a pocket across there. What have we got here on our table? I like the torn edge, so I'm going to go just not quite as deep. So I'm going to glue that in. And what I mean is I may not glue it on that one there, but you know, if we go in, for example, and the beauty about this, it's already got a background on it. We can plop it straight on. That's got a background on it. We might just want the white over there with the tag in the pocket, so that can be a journaling spot. And we, you know, we want to then, we've already got these scraps of made up ephemera on our desks that we want to, you know, stick there. What have we got? We've got, oh, I've got an excess of labels here. That we want to do that, and we want to, I don't know, we want to throw a number on there. Do you know what I mean? Like, do we want to ink around the top of that, or do we want to, you know, spray some splats of ink on there? Do we want to, and once again, I'm just playing, so, you know, do we want to put a butterfly on that tag and stick it in there? So it is very journal inspired, whichever way you go. Art journal, like to bring the art journal aspect into it. I love doodling, so what I will do is I'll grab a black marker. I've got one handy. I'll just use this Sharpie. So I'll grab a black Sharpie pen and I will draw, let's go the metallic side of things. I will draw and then I will cut that out. Or you could, you know, you might want to put it in like that, but I'll cut it out. I've got my big old clunky scissors here today, so I'll just go around to basic. So cutting out won't be as quick as normally. I like to cut out ephemera, I like a little 5-inch scissors. So Eco Tools have got really good ones. Stampin' Up have good ones. Tim Holtz have got good ones. They're the 3 brands that I use with my 5-inch scissors. And with cutting, your scissors basically stay in a stable thing. You're actually maneuvering with your left hand. So I'm right-handed, but I'm maneuvering with here. This is just sort of going like that. A lot of people try and just maneuver the scissors and they go, I find cutting very difficult. But do a lot of it, so just practice. You know, I will take a container of something with me if I'm going somewhere I know I'm going to be sitting for a while, so, and then just cut out. Very relaxing. Do it in front of the TV, but practice makes perfect. And we've probably digressed a little bit here, because today the purpose was just to put the journal together, but I'm just sort of just showing you like art with a word. Let me find another page that's already got, see how it pops, and then you can go around it with something again. You know, you could write a verse down there. It's just something that simple. Big butterfly. It's just leftover ephemera. Oh, I meant to grab a green one. Leftover ephemera. Down there, you might have a, what's here? I've got stamped on a bit of scrap. You know, and build your thing from there. So use all your techniques, which is all your journal basic techniques in it, really. Get some inks, some paints, some whatever out, and have a play. But they're so handy. That's now going to sit on my desk. So as we go along, I'll go, oh, let's grab our Sidekick journal and let's create something in it. Here, then the blank, and this is out of the one that I rolled my brayers and that off on. You know, I know that paper can take some inks and that. I might do a bit of watercolouring, a bit of, you know, stamp on there and colour it in, or do some paint splats, or, you know, this book's very versatile to be whatever you want it to be. But that is the basics of how to put one together. Like I said, I have a lot of blanks laying around, so that process there, that takes the assembly, the cutting out, the scoring, the taping out of the equation, where you can just put that together and then play around with, you know, the likes of this type of thing. I actually love that. So I might play around a little bit with the front cover prior to doing the thumbnail on this one, but absolutely love it. But thanks guys for watching today. I hope you got some inspiration out of that, some ideas. Don't label your journal, don't make it a specific way. Just have a play, just get your papers out, you know, get some, if you don't have any of that grey thick cardstock, you can actually stick layers and layers of cardstock together. You'll get the same effect. If you want the hard surface, you may not want that hard surface. Have any surface that you want. You can cover that in material if you want, but have a play, get your scraps out and just go for it is what I say. But thanks for your time today, guys. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye.